If your favorite Smash character is Piranha Plant, don't get mad at this. You're getting the axe.
How's it going? Gone here. Do you remember this old relic?
It's been almost 5 years since the last Smash Ultimate DLC character, which was Sora. Those years of speculation were awesome, and it all led to a great conclusion to one of the best games of all time. Ultimate did an ambitious task, fit almost 90 playable characters in a single fighting game. It won't be the first one. But when half of the roster is composed of third-party characters from unrelated properties to Nintendo, it can be tough getting some fan favorites. But Sakurai did it. Truly a monumental achievement in gaming. So let's ruin it by chopping it in half and add characters nobody asked for. Okay, now I look like I have some issues. My goal here is to cut down the Ultimate roster from 89 characters down to 47. Stuff like Echo Fighters and clone characters are obviously getting the boot, but also some unique ones, and that's where it gets controversial. Listen, if I was actually in charge of creating the Smash 6 roster, I would pull an Ultimate and bring everyone back. Yes, even Pichu. But if they're actually downsizing the character selection like they did in Smash for Wii U and 3DS, these would be my picks, and I'm sorry. Oh, and in addition with the original characters, I'm adding 8 brand new fighters that would be a part of the base game in this hypothetical roster. I'm going through their order on the Ultimate Character Select screen, and our first guy is Mario. I don't think I need to say this, but Mario is staying. But with a twist. We're doing things a little different here. I think the biggest benefit in cutting a majority of the roster is focusing on the older characters and potentially reworking some of them to fit their latest appearances. And I think Mario deserves one. He's been long overdue for one. Mario's moveset has remained consistent throughout the series. Sure, we got a few changes, but nothing major. I'm talking about incorporating stuff from the new games to his moveset, and not just taunts that don't do anything. Give him some moves from Galaxy, Odyssey, or even Wonder. You can do a brand new Mario character with just Wonder as a basis. Please don't do that. I'd love if they incorporated some power-ups to his moveset, like, I don't know, Spring Mario? But we have to keep in mind that this is the starter character. He's the most basic you can get, and something more complex like a power-up meter would be a no-no, and I wouldn't want to change that. Next is DK, and similarly to Mario, this guy needs to change. Literally. Yup, give him the new Donkey Kong Bonanza design. It seems like Nintendo is done with Rare DK since the beginning of the Switch 2 generation, and I think that's fine. This design has been around for 30 years, and it already ran its course. I love that version of DK, but this one's better, and we'll leave it at that. I think DK could get a moveset rework based on Bonanza, but I'm not sure. The Bonanza transformations would definitely make it in, but I see them more as a final smash than something a part of his moveset. But he's in. DK is undoubtedly making it to the roster. I don't know what to do with Link. Yeah, he's gonna be on the roster, there's no doubt about that, but I'm not sure if I'm giving him a rework or at least a new design based on his Tears of the Kingdom look. If they change Link's default outfit to this one, that would be neat, but that arm is not just for show. You need to at least give him one move for Oru's arm. If they stick with the Breath of the Wild look, that would be fine. They already did a bunch with Link in Ultimate. But in my scenario, I'm giving him the Tears of the Kingdom look. It's awesome. This might sound a little strange since we got Metroid Dread and Metroid Prime 4 in recent years that gave Samus a new design and new abilities, but I honestly won't change much of Samus's character and moveset. Okay, I'd update her armor with the first one she wears in the start of Prime 4, which is just a Metroid Prime Varia suit. I don't dislike her Smash Bros armor, but since the Prime series is getting so much love recently, I'm going with Prime's armor. Here's our first cut of the day, Dark Samus. There's just no way, man. She gotta go. But it's not just because I'm cutting the Echo Fighters. No, I'm adding a replacement. But we'll get into that when we get into the new characters. Yoshi's in, boys. Who would have thought? Yeah, if it wasn't obvious till now, the original 12 and 64 characters are in regardless, which is odd since they make out a fourth of the entire roster. So if I'm gonna say anything about the remaining 7 characters, it's because I have something new in mind, which isn't a lot actually. I want that. Kirby and the Forgotten Land was big for the Kirby series. Heck, it's the most sold game in the franchise. And it was my first Kirby game in 5 years after Kirby Battle Royale. You can do so much with Kirby. Vending machine Kirby, light bulb Kirby, truck. It would be interesting incorporating some of his transformations from the Forgotten Land. I'd love that. Fox. Well, give him that remake design. The fans will love it. Pikachu is tough. He has a bunch of moves on the Pokemon games and maybe that's why I never got a rework. I'm not touching this Rat's moveset. If I did, the size of this Yap Sash would double. I think it's time, boys. Luigi's finally getting the Luigi's Mansion rework I've been waiting for. Luigi has always been a Mario clone, and I'm not just talking about Smash. There's no denying that. But Luigi's Mansion was such a breath of fresh air for this character, and it's a shame the only thing we got was the final Smash, which, hey, that's great, but I want the Poltergust 3000 in every f***ing move Luigi makes. I'm talking about the full overhaul. Okay, I'm exaggerating a bit. I think some basic moves, the taunts and his side special should stay, and then the rest would mostly be Luigi's Mansion based. I know it sounds kinda silly since Luigi is basically one of the main characters of the Mario series, but I want him to be more of a standalone representation of his own series, like, for instance, Yoshi. The Green Pickle deserves better. Congratulations, Ness, you're in the game. Congratulations, Captain Falcon, you're in the game. But I'm sad I couldn't give you something new. Another Smash game, another generation with sticking with the same moveset. Well, if the original 12 weren't mainstays, Jigglypuff would be the first one to get the boot. There's way more better secondary representation of the Pokemon series in the roster, but since I can't cut her, she's in. Well, Sakurai was tempted in cutting Jigglypuff from Melee and Brawl during their initial development stages, so maybe they're not safe, but I'm still keeping the rule. The original 12 are always in, no matter what. I think we could rework Peach to a certain extent. Princess Peach Showtime released in 2024 and that game gave us some transformations and different looks for Peach, and maybe we could do some moves inspired by that game, but nothing too major, just 2 or 3 moves or something. That game wasn't particularly great or a big success, but I think we could do some references here and there. I'm not trying to see a rework for Peach, it's whatever. We're cutting the Echo Fighters, so Daisy is out. Daisy was an odd inclusion since the start. Yes, she's pretty popular and has been around since Mario Land on the original Game Boy, but I feel like they just included her for the sake of adding Echo Fighters. I love Daisy, she's an awesome Mario character, but I feel she's just occupying a filler spot on the Smash roster. For the surprise of no one, Bowser is not going anywhere. I'm also not giving him anything new. I think his ultimate version was perfect, and I wouldn't change a thing. Ice Climbers was tough. They're one of 4 characters representing the NES generation, which puts them in a hard spot since compared to the other fighters, they're more on the niche side. But since they're basically Smash Bros staples at this point and have a unique fighting style with, you know, controlling 2 characters simultaneously, I'm sticking with Ice Climbers. They're here to stay. This is the first original character I'm cutting from the roster and I don't feel anything. Shiki's fine, she was great in Melee when you could switch between her and Zelda, but as a standalone character, she's honestly not doing much for me. The Zelda series has 6 characters in the Ultimate roster, and if we're downsizing this thing, Sheik is one of my first choices to go. They could merge Sheik with Zelda like in Melee again, but I'm cutting Sheik. Zelda is similar to Bowser. Even with her most recent iterations in Breath of the Wild or Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, I'm not changing a thing. And I'm glad Ultimate went with a Link to the Past design and not Breath of the Wild's like Link. Hot take, I'm not a fan of Zelda's design from Breath of the Wild, and this right here is so much better. Keep this one around, please. Dr. Mario, get out. I like the Dr. Mario series, they're fun puzzle games, but this guy's inclusion was one of the weirdest choices Sakurai's ever done, and it was in the second game. No Dr. Mario for you. No, I'm keeping Falco. He's a great representation of the Star Fox series. It was honestly between Falco and Wolf, but because Falco is such an iconic character, I'm bringing him to the next game. Now we're getting into the Fire Emblem reps. Oh boy, Mars is not going anywhere. He's basically the Pikachu of the Fire Emblem series. They're never gonna get rid of Mars. He's a Fire Emblem guy. Many people hate the abundance of Fire Emblem characters in the Smash roster, but I honestly don't mind it, and it makes sense. Fire Emblem is huge in Japan. We're talking Zelda huge. And even though I'm cutting half of the Fire Emblem reps, it's not due to hate for the series like some people I've seen online. And speaking of Fire Emblem, I'm cutting Lucina. Not only because she's an Echo Fighter, but my goal here is to include at least 1 character from each Fire Emblem game, with 2 exceptions where I cut the game entirely. Lucina is from Fire Emblem Awakening, and we have 3 characters from that game in Smash. That's a lot. Awakening marked the start of a renaissance era for the franchise. It was actually supposed to be the final game in the series before it became a hit and sold millions of copies, so I understand the overrepresentation of this game. But for the sake of downsizing, Lucina is out. Young Link is also out. He's one of those characters that makes me wonder, why do they exist? After the addition of Toon Link in Brawl, there was no reason to bring him back. He only returned in Ultimate just because they were bringing everyone back, like Pichu. Toon Link is a way better second Link than Young Link ever was. So, after cutting the only 2 representations of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, I'm keeping Ganondorf exactly how he looks and plays in Ultimate. Though, I would love if they added a secondary costume with the Tears of the Kingdom outfit. That design is great, but I can't make it the default one, so a skin it is. Mewtwo is in. He's one of the most iconic legendary Pokemon, and he's a fun character to play with. I like him. Roy is not safe, boys. Unironically, there was no space for him, and because of that, the only Binding Blade rep is gone. Nope, Chrom is not the Awakening character I'm bringing to Smash 6. Well, sure, even with Roy cut from the roster, I still could have kept him. He's technically not an Echo since the original character was cut, but I think there's a better and unique character to represent Awakening. You never cut Game & Watch. He's a mainstay and represents the Nintendo era before Donkey Kong and the NES. Game & Watch is also a pretty unique character, he's the guy with 4 different amiibo. I wanted to cut Meta Knight so bad, man. Okay, that's not true, but he was a last-minute addition, and because of that, a personal beloved character had to be cut. Realistically, none of the Kirby characters would never be cut. They're Sakurai's babies, and that man loves his sons. Meta Knight is great, I love Meta Knight, but damn it, someone had to take the bullet for his survival. Pit? Well, sure. It's a similar case to Ice Climbers and Game & Watch. Pit is so iconic and a Smash staple that I can't cut him, even if his series has been dead since 2012. Oh, and also Kid Icarus Uprising was directed by Sakurai, so he's at least keeping Pit around. Now, Dark Pit on the other hand, no. Unfortunately, Zero Suit is not surviving the X. She's great, but I want to prioritize more unique characters, and letting Zero Suit semi-sin while fighters like Roy are cut is not exactly a great decision. Yes, it's Wario, what do you think? Unfortunately, I've decided to cut Snake from Smash 6. Don't look at me, look at him. Yeah, I originally had Snake on the roster, but then I forgot about Meta Knight and I ended up switching the two. It's sad. Metal Gear is one of my favorite game franchises, and Snake Eater is one of my favorite games of all time, but there wasn't enough space for the big guy. But I have a solution. Ladies and gentlemen, what if they brought him back as DLC? Roy, Mewtwo and Lucas were also brought back as DLC after being cut from Smash 4, so it's not a new concept. Though, I never liked how they didn't change anything about these characters, like Roy and Mewtwo played exactly like in Melee. So if we're bringing characters back as DLC, we need an incentive to buy these characters. So I propose bringing Snake back as DLC, but as Naked Snake or Big Boss. That would be the dream. Well, DLCs aren't a part of this, so I'm just coping because of Snake's removal. I didn't know about this, but Ike is the most popular Fire Emblem character according to official popularity polls. That's good, Ike is a cool character, and I never had any intentions of removing him from the roster, but this basically confirms his spot on Smash 6. He also represents the Passive Radiance and Radiant Dawn games, so there's your rep for those. Pokemon Trainer is an interesting character. They're basically 3 characters in one: Ivysaur, Squirtle, and Charizard. But I decided to cut him from the roster. If I kept Trainer next to Mewtwo, Pikachu, and Jigglypuff, I feel like it would be an overrepresentation of Gen 1. That's 4 out of 8 Pokemon characters representing just one generation. So for variety's sake, I'm cutting the Trainer. It sucks, but that's the way it is. This is gonna be a little controversial, but I'm cutting Diddy Kong. Lately it seems like Nintendo has been reducing Diddy's role as more of a background character that makes some small cameos here and there. Don't believe me? Just look at the first Mario movie and Donkey Kong Bonanza. In that game, he's just an NPC. Cranky Kong had a bigger role than him. Oh, I didn't even mention Mario Kart World. They cut him entirely from that game, so realistically speaking, there's no shot he's in the next game. Also, I think King K. Rool fits better as a second DK rep than Diddy. Lucas, I'm sorry, man. I'm sure Mother 3 is a great game, but there's no way he's in the next one after a massive cut like this. One of the most iconic video game characters of all time, Sega has a great relationship with Nintendo. I'm thinking no. It's Sonic, you can't go wrong with him. He's the blue video game guy. It's really hard to imagine cutting Sonic from Smash. You can't, his moveset is atrocious. But you can't. Maybe they could rework his moveset, but I don't have anything particularly in mind. He's the main antagonist of the Kirby series. It's a mainstay at this point. Though, I'd like to talk about his design. After Kirby and the Forgotten Land, they changed DDD's design. Now he looks chubbier and has a smaller face, but they went back to his pre-Forgotten Land design in Kirby Air Riders, so I guess we're not changing anything? The one and only Pikmin rep in the game, but honestly, you don't need more. Olimar is staying and you're gonna like it. Lucario is out. It was between him and Mewtwo, and the latter is way more popular and relevant. I like Lucario, but if we're cutting this thing in half and another Pokemon character has to go, it would be him. Like I mentioned during the Ice Climber segment, there's too much NES reps in this game, and there's not enough room for Rob. I personally think Rob is the best NES rep, since he not only represents, of course, the NES, but he also represents Nintendo pre-video games. Nintendo was a toy company during the 60s and 70s, and Rob was advertised as a toy in North America, so he kinda has that toy DNA in him. But man, the Ice Climbers are a way better fighter than Rob, so he is not making it. I already said it before and I'm gonna say it again. Toon Link was a great inclusion. Of course he's in. He's a way better version of Young Link, and he represents Wind Waker, which instantly gives him a great personality. I know people were dying to see Wolf make a return in Smash 4 and Ultimate, but with Fox and Falco already as Star Fox reps, that leaves no room for Wolf, unfortunately. Villager? Bro, it's Villager! Animal Crossing is currently one of Nintendo's biggest IPs, and Villager is literally the best representation of these games. So yeah, Villager is in. Mega Man is not in? Unfortunately, I'm getting rid of Mega Man, and it's not because of something in particular, I just don't have space for him. We could pull a Solid Snake and bring him back as X for DLC, but I don't know. But when we're talking about base roster, he's out. Mega Man's out. No. Rosalina and Luma. Yeah, after the Mario Galaxy movie, Rosalina's been in the spotlight lately, and man, even if we never got that movie, she would still make it in. It's Rosalina, like, come on guys. Little Mac is obviously a Punch-Out rep, but should we count it as an NES rep as well? I'm not sure, but regardless, I'm cutting Mac from the roster. He's not a good character to play with, his series has been dormant for the past 17 years, it's not looking good for this guy. This might surprise some, but I'm keeping Greninja. Pokemon Legends ZA is still relatively fresh in everyone's mind, and that game takes place in the Kalos region, exactly where Greninja is from, and he got some focus on that game too with his new Mega Evolution. I know Lucario got another Mega Evolution in the DLC, but this is more of Greninja's game, and since we're kinda running short of Pokemon reps after cutting Pokemon Trainer and Lucario out, Greninja is safe. Palutena on the other hand, not so much. I think one Kid Icarus rep is enough given the size of the franchise, and putting Palutena in when bigger series just have one rep is a bit unfair. So Palutena's out. Come on, it's Pac-Man. Anything Bandai Namco is guaranteed staying in the roster at this point. They make these games after all. The day they cut Pac-Man from Smash is the day they add Waluigi to the game. It's never gonna happen. Here we have our Awakening rep. Yes, I'm keeping Robin. Robin is the Awakening rep. Not only because it's a popular Fire Emblem character, but it has the most unique fighting style among these characters. I also personally like Robin, he has no problem getting in. Shulk is most definitely in. He's the face of the Xenoblade series, you can't replace him. You can add all the Xenoblade characters you want, but Shulk is always staying. Yeah, I'm letting this Koopa in, but on one condition. Get rid of the Koopa Link skins. And you might be asking, why the f would you do that if you're not adding anything new to the character? Well, actually I am. What if we revamp Bowser Jr.'s Final Smash to Wonder Bowser Jr. from Mario Wonder? Bowser Jr.'s Final Smash is probably one of the lamest out there. You can easily avoid this and take no damage. But if we do something like Bowser's Final Smash from Smash 4 where you control Wonder Bowser Jr. or something like that, it would be more interesting. Also, I love this design. It's cool, so do something with it. Don't let it go to waste. Ah yes, Duck Hunt Duo. I love Duck Hunt Duo. It's a weird inclusion but just makes sense. The original Duck Hunt sold millions of copies on the NES. But then again, because of Ice Climbers occupying the NES slot, I'm cutting Duck Hunt Duo. It's not necessarily a popular character, but it has historical value. If we had more slots, I'd keep these guys around. Ryu from Streets. Yeah, he's in. Ken is an Echo Fighter, so he's getting cut. It's so weird we got Ken instead of Chun-Li as the second Street Fighter rep. I feel she's more iconic, but anyways, Ken is getting the X. I think Cloud deserves to stay. I know Square Enix is not the easiest company to work with, but we got what? 4 Square Enix characters in Ultimate? I think they can squeeze Cloud into the next game. Final Fantasy is such a massive franchise that it's hard to see it getting excluded. Cloud safe. Corrin represents the Fire Emblem Fates games, but like Roy, I'm cutting them as well. This is the last Fire Emblem character I'm cutting from the roster and for 2 reasons. First of all, I don't have space for them. Corrin is a cool fighter, but pales in comparison to Ike and Byleth for example. And second, I've heard those games aren't very good and have a bad reputation. It doesn't help that Corrin is also not a very popular character, and I'm not just talking about Smash. Even if I think it's a neat character, it's getting removed. Bayonetta. I've decided that Bayo is also getting the boot. If we had a few more slots available, I'm sure she'd make it in. But with 47 spots, yeah, it doesn't leave room for Bayo, unfortunately. Now we're getting into the Ultimate characters, and first off we have Inkling from Splatoon. It's the Splatoon rep. It's obviously in. I'm tired of cutting Metroid reps. We only have Samus at this point, so I'll gladly let Ridley live. Ridley is the main villain of the Metroid series. He's Samus's arch nemesis, and even if his portrayal in Smash isn't the greatest, I'm letting him live in favor of cutting Dark and Zero Suit Samus. This one's tricky, but you'll understand when we get into the newcomers. I'm cutting both Simon and Richter, the 2 Castlevania reps, and I'm doing this because I feel there's a better representation of this franchise than these 2. Nothing against Simon and Richter, they're fine characters, but I'm replacing them with something better. King K. Rool. Same logic as Ridley. He's the main villain of the Donkey Kong Country series and Bonanza, so I don't see why we shouldn't include him in the roster. Though, I think we could implement his King of Rock design from Bonanza as his final Smash. That would be sweet. Isabelle is not exactly an Echo Fighter, but her moveset is way too similar to Villagers. I'm not cutting Isabelle because of that, but simply because she's not a great Animal Crossing rep. It was a random addition to hype up New Horizons and nobody really gives a piss about her character in Smash. So nope. Isabelle is not coming back. Incineroar is also being cut. From all the Pokemon on the Ultimate roster, he's the least popular. I think they will replace him with a Pokemon from Winds and Waves, Gen 10. I don't have one on my list for the base game, but I think they would add one as DLC at least. You'll already know the fate of this one, though it would be funny if Sakurai brought him back for Smash 6. Look, I love the Persona series, but I unfortunately had to cut Joker. I know Persona 5 was a huge success for the series, but people are fatigued, man. I was in grade school when Persona 5 first came out. I already graduated high school and we still don't have Persona 6. When is this gonna end? Oh, if Sakurai could bring Hero back, that would be perfect. Dragon Quest is like, what, the biggest video game franchise in Japan excluding Pokemon? They have holidays for the release of these games. It's huge. This is really sad cause these two are my mains, but I'm cutting Banjo and Kazooie. I want to prioritize more relevant series, which doesn't make sense when Pit is in the roster, but yeah, there's no room for these two. I find it strange that Terry is the only SNK rep in the whole game, cause SNK is way bigger than you probably think it is. Terry is one of the characters I've had most fun playing in Ultimate, and he deserves to return. When I see other lists of hypothetical Smash 6 rosters, they always cut Byleth, and I wonder why. Not only is Byleth currently one of the most popular Fire Emblem characters, but Three Houses is the most sold game in the series. They're not dropping the ball on Byleth. They're gonna be back on the next one. I'm 99% sure. It always bugged me why we got an ARMS character in 2020. That game was dead by 2018. Heck, even before Ultimate came out. Yeah, no, Min Min or any other ARMS character is making it out of Smash Ultimate. It was such an odd inclusion. Sure, we had that ARMS ballot and that's why Min Min was picked, but why add an ARMS character if you're not making a sequel? Also, ARMS wasn't very popular. It did sell well when it released and there were people talking about it, but who cares about ARMS nowadays? I know they usually don't prioritize characters outside of Japan for the Smash roster, but Steve makes perfect sense to keep. Minecraft is the most sold game on the planet and Microsoft has a strong relationship with Nintendo. I don't see why we shouldn't get Steve. He's perfect. I love Sephiroth, he's one of my favorite characters, but there wasn't enough space for him. This is the problem with reducing the roster to 47 characters. Many important reps are inevitably getting axed. Snake, Mega Man, Piranha Plant. They could switch Steve with Sephiroth, but then again, you're getting rid of the most popular game of all time. It's like a double-edged sword. I wanted to include Pyra and Misra in this, but I feel they're getting replaced by a Xenoblade 3 rep. Xenoblade is a big series, far from Fire Emblem level, but still big. But I don't see it having more than 2 reps in a roster this small. We can't cut Shulk, so it's gotta be Pyra and Misra, which is a shame cause they're very unique characters and Xenoblade 2 is a great game. I don't care what people say, Xenoblade 2 f***ing rocks, but I don't have a choice. Yeah, I think the fighting game trio of Ryu, Terry and Kazuya should stay. Cutting Kazuya would just be wrong if I'm being honest, so yeah, put him in there. Now we get into Sora and I'm cutting him from the roster. I was very disappointed with Sora's portrayal in Smash. Like, sure, it's Sora. He has the Keyblade with the Mickey charm, he has all his costumes from the games, but you do a Kingdom Hearts collab and don't include anything Disney related aside from the charm? Just look at the Hollow Bastion stage. Sora's Station of Awakening originally had Donald and Goofy on it, and they replaced them with a random fruit and boat. It feels empty. It was really bad. It was like something was missing. If you're bringing Sora back without Mickey, Donald and Goofy, honestly, don't even bother. It's less work on Sakurai's part. I think the Miis should merge into a single character, so instead of Mii Brawler, Mii Sword Fighter and Mii Gunner, it would just be Mii. Keep the different Mii types, but just in a single character slot. That would make life easier. Now we're moving over to what you've all been waiting for. The end. What? The Newcomers. Like I mentioned before, I'm going with 8 new characters for the base roster, 4 Nintendo characters and 4 third-party characters. And the first we have is... That's right. Sylex from Metroid Prime 4 in Smash Bros, and this would be Metroid's 3rd rep in this game. I think Sylex is a good looking guy and he does some cool moves in Prime 4, even though the battle against him is kinda anticlimactic. Regardless, there's certainly a spot for Sylex as a Metroid Prime rep. With Dark Samus out, he's the one that's representing that sub-series now, and I think that's an upgrade. These are the protagonists of Fire Emblem Engage, and I don't have much to say about them. I never played Engage. They have a cool design though, this is probably my favorite design among the Fire Emblem characters. I think they could include a character from Fortune's Weave instead, but I think they would save that for DLC like Byleth. This is a funny one, yes, Ditto from Pokemon Pokopia as the new Pokemon rep. Now, like I said with Incineroar, I think they're doing a new gen Pokemon as DLC, but for the base game, throw Ditto in there, that would be fun. I never played Pokopia, but I think its character would be like Villager, I suppose. It would be an interesting choice. Now, I didn't only choose these characters because they're the most likely to get added, but just these first 3 characters are already better than the newcomers from Ultimate Space roster. In my opinion, these are really interesting characters, and I never played Engage nor Pokopia. Yeah? I'm doing it. Earlier, I cut Pyra and Misra in favor of Noah and Miyu from Xenoblade 3, my personal favorite game in the series. You could do one or the other, but since we're replacing a 2-on-1 character, I feel this is the right choice. Also, For a great final smash, you could make No and Mio interlink and become Ouroboros. That would be sweet. But then again, compared to Pyra and Misra, they have completely different fighting styles, and even though they're Ouroboros partners, they're not exactly a fighting duo outside of the interlink. But since they were paired together as spirits in Ultimate and were sold as a pack when we got the Xenoblade 3 amiibo, I could see them making in as a duo like Pyra and Misra. Our first third-party newcomer is Eggman, good old Robotnik. Yeah, I think we're long overdue for a second Sonic rep. He was one of the first third-party characters to get added, and we never got anyone else from the Sonic series, not even Shadow as an Echo Fighter. So I think Eggman would be a perfect choice. We already have Mario and Bowser, Samus and Ridley, DK and King K. Rool, and Samus and Eggman should be the next on the list. Okay, this is why I cut Simon and Richter. Alucard is a long time coming. He's a fan-favorite Castlevania character, and he's an assist trophy in Ultimate, so why not upgrade him to a full-fledged fighter? He's a cool guy, and currently we don't have a single Konami-owned character, so Alucard would be the only one until, who knows, Snake or any Konami character gets added as DLC. You could call him DLC material, but when the f*** are we getting a Resident Evil rep? I only chose Leon because of Resident Evil Requiem and he's basically the face of the franchise, but it can be anyone. Jill, Claire, Chris, you can give the RE5 Boulder as his final smash. It's just, we need a horror rep in Smash. It needs to happen. Imagine if they added Nemesis instead. Wouldn't that be fun? Before you get mad, just think for a second. Tomb Raider was one of the most successful series on the PS1, Lara Croft was the first mainstream female protagonist in a video game, this series has a bunch of movies, and we're getting a remake and a new game in the upcoming year. Huh, but yeah, I think Lara Croft deserves a spot on the roster, if not base game, at least as DLC.
And there you have it, the Smash 6 roster if Sakurai went mad and cut Wii Fit Trainer. It's 55 characters in total, and I think I did a great job. I'm not fit for this, I'm turning the chair.